Jonathan, take. Oh, hang on. There we go.
Tell you what happened. Good evening, ladies and gents.
Oh, I don't know what happened there.
Oh, I do. It flashed up a window saying, "Please open the StreamYard app." So I did, and then found myself I'd been kicked backstage again.
That is funny. Oh, that is funny. Oh, I need to share this to you. Oh, hang on.
Oh, yes, because I have to share it to Guinevere and Isabel and
everyone.
yes,
Well,
because I know Richard watches it sometimes and V watches it.
hello, V. Hello, Richard. Big shout out to those guys.
And here, okay, Lilith, yes, I'm sorry. She's just come up and gone, because I wasn't immediately paying attention to her.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Look at her. John's girlfriend, that is. Not Jonathan Downs, my little boy, John. That's his girlfriend.
Oh, and now I've got, look who else has arrived.
Well, for those watching in the chat, please say hello so we can give you a shout out so we know who you are. But do you know what? Before we start and get into tonight's discussion, Jonathan, I've got to say how mortified I was to see that Val Kilmer passed away yesterday.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, one of my most favourite actors, and not because of Top Gun, because one of my most favourite films that he was in was a film about two lions called The Ghost and the Darkness. And if you haven't seen that film, watch it. It's brilliant.
I've heard. What's the film called?
The Ghost and the Darkness.
Hi,
Hello,
Bobby.
Bobby.
Hang on a second.
Hi, Sarah.
Did you put the link on my page?
I put it on your messenger.
Okay, hang on. I'll be back in a second, boys and girls.
So while he's fiddling about with his messenger, yeah, we were just talking about Val Kilmer and, what a great actor he was. So it is sad when we lose one of our great actors. No doubt we will lose more as we ourselves grow older. People get ill, pass away, all that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a bit of a shock. So yes, so thoughts go out to Val's family and the people, the loved ones that he leaves behind. And Nico, you are not my huckleberry. You are me old treacle. You know what you are. He's a treacle. Oh, dear.
Now, let's see if I can do this.
Oh, Doc Holliday. Yes, yes. I remember that as well. Yeah. So while Jonathan is fiddling around in the background, I will tell you what's coming up on the show tonight. We are going to talk a little bit about cryptids because Jonathan has some interesting film footage to show you all. Shh, don't give it away. Oh, God. He's been ill for a long time. Yeah, exactly, Bobby. And I hope you got over your little adventure in the theme park that you was at. I won't say any more. Oh, dear. Just absolute madness at that theme park. I listened to the screams and I just thought rather them than me, to be honest, when it comes to those roller coasters.
What happened?
Bobby was at a theme park and he put his grandkids and kids and whoever on a roller coaster, and you could just hear them all screaming. Oh dear!
Rather him than me. I've
Hey.
never seen the appeal of those.
Oh, I don't know. I know that the worst one is it called Six Flags, where it's extreme rides that throw you all over the place. Yeah, no. No, thank you. Are you done now? Are you back?
I believe so. I have now. I've just done it so my public will be able to see. In fact, my public already here. I think is.
Your public.
I think Lilith
Your
and Peter,
public will be
Lilith
able
and
to.
the dog are probably the only real public I've got.
Oh, and me and Dan.
I
Apologies
missed
that
that.
Dan's not on tonight with us. Yeah, he's not very well, so he'll be back when he's better. He's hurt his back.
Oh, poor bugger.
I know. But he's done it in the style that only Dan can do it in, so
That means he's done massively.
yes. But he will be back. He will be back.
Well, I've been used to being able to be pretty well immobile for years now, so it doesn't worry me anymore.
You're used to it, aren't you?
Yes,
Just
I'm
get
afraid
used to what
so.
you... Yeah.
But I have Nurse Lilith looking after me.
She's gorgeous.
And I have... Where is he?
There he is.
Dr. Archie looking after me.
Dr. Archie. Oh, dear.
Oh,
Nico says he's been to Six Flags. They make you wear seatbelts on the bumper cars and kick you off if you actually bump anyone.
Well, isn't that totally defeating the point of the whole thing?
Yeah. That's
now,
crazy.
I've never really seen the point of adventure theme parky things. I always used to take drugs instead.
Or eat mushrooms.
Me? A thing like that? I don't know what you mean, Miss Vivian.
Or drink mushroom tea. Organic.
What is it? Tastes horrible.
Tastes like PISS.
Yes. So,
I don't know. I've never had it.
Oh, haven't you?
No.
Oh, I haven't had it in years. I took psychedelics a lot from September 1982 until just after Christmas, and I've never taken them since.
Well, Christmas just gone.
No, Christmas 1982. I took a hell of a lot of psychedelics for about 4 months, and I've never taken them since.
I have a friend, well, I had a friend, the late, great Norman Fahey, who took a lot of LSD when he was at art college and when he just left. And he said to me, I have 7 years of my life missing that I can't account for. Just gone.
Well, I know when I wrote my autobiography like 20 years ago, I had great problems when I was writing my 20, but was in 2001 because I couldn't remember a fucking thing I had done.
That's not good. Not good.
No,
Right,
the only
Nico.
thing I remember was September the 11th. I remember that sort of cutting through the fog. And
Yeah.
the rest of the year, I was completely off my face.
It was Six Flags that doubled for Wally's World. Well, it's in the word organic. Organic. Can't have been that good, John, if you remember the dates.
I only remember them because I had to try and remember what had happened because I was writing a book about it. And you try and write a book about your memories of something you have absolutely no memory of.
Shall I tell you something funny that Norman did? He said that he stayed out late and did the usual, took the drugs, few beers, whatever. And it was during the times when we still got fog, like quite thick pea supers. And he said it wasn't as thick as it used to be, but there was definitely a fog around. Pubs closed. And he said, because he got a top hat and he had a cape that somebody had given him a cape from the charity shop, like one of these half cape things. And he said he put his cape on. He remembers putting his cape on and he remembers his hat because he had it with him the next day. He said, and then he thought, oh, bugger, I'm going to be late home and I need to get home pretty sharpish because he wasn't supposed to have been at the pub. So he said he's running along the streets that were empty at that time of night and running through the fog to get home. And he said he saw these two police officers on the other side of the road that used to do the evening beat. He said, and they just stopped dead in their tracks and stared at him because this figure with the top hat and a cape was running through the mist just to go home. I said, was you giving an air of Jack the Ripper kind of vibes? He went, well, he said, I heard these two coppers. He said that as I was running past, he said that one of them just burst into fits of laughter. And they said, whatever he's done, just let him go. We don't want to have to explain this one. Oh, God. I can just imagine Norman doing that as well. Hi, Nettie.
Hi, Annette.
But yeah, he said 7 years of his life, and the doctors, because later on in life he got a little bit ill, but he said the doctors said by rights he should be dead. He shouldn't be alive with the amount that he did and for that sustained a long period of time. And he was an absolute enigma to them all, you know. He was just crazy. But I have fond memories of Uncle Norm, and you know, he lives on in here with me. Hello.
I
Annette,
have to
hello.
say that I'm surprised I've lived as long as I have.
I can imagine. Oh dear. So, do you want to talk about what you want to talk about this evening, or are we saving that for a little bit later? Or?
Oh, I don't get. Hang on a second. I've just got to have my medicine.
Okay, you have your medicine.
Talk amongst yourselves, boys and girls.
We will. Net, you're still doing it with Cat. Yes. I believe Nettie is still doing it with Cat. Cat in the Net. Oh, hang on, I've got to plug you in because it's saying my battery's running low on this machine, this television box, as I call it. Do you know, life with computers. You work with them all day and come home and
doing.
Look at that dog.
A bloody silly cat decided to start walking all over the iPad.
Well, my silly cat's not here, so that's good.
Oh, he will be.
So, do you want to do this? Shall we make them wait for a little bit longer before we show this?
Let's do it now because it's not massively exciting. It
is.
It's just revoltingly weird. Because I have spent. Remember, by trade, I am a zoologist who studies strange and unusual animals, and I'm particularly interested in. I've done a lot of work with insects, invertebrates, and fish. And I have spent the last 10 days, no, not the last 10 days, just last however long it's been, since last Thursday, so a week tomorrow, with carnivorous maggots on my foot. Like they used to say on television in the 70s, roll VT.
Okay, right, let me get this set up for you.
I'm actually going to make it, I've got I filmed the whole procedure start to finish, and I'm going to be editing it. So I'm going to try and see if I can get a interview with the people from the farm that breeds these. But first of all, have a look at this, because it's just fairly disgusting.
Oh, what's going on here? Can you see
I
it?
say it's fairly disgusting, and yours and my faces pop up.
Hang on. Let me stop sharing.
Vivian,
Something's gone wrong.
what the bloody hell are you doing?
I don't know. Hang on, 2 secs.
Vivian,
Let me
my
get this set up properly. Hang on.
sweet girl she is. Poor Vivian.
Hang on 1 sec. Let me come back. Let me go
Okay,
out
so
and in again.
anyway, these maggots are only bred in a single farm in the UK, and they're bred in this farm in Wales. And I am going to try and get an interview with the people who own the farm. But I have this idea that the maggots on my feet or on my right heel are talking to each other in little Welsh accents, going, "Oh, that's tasty for you, boyo," as they eat away at the necrotic flesh on my foot. I'm not going to show you pictures of the wound itself because they are particularly revolting. But what the hell are you doing, Vivian?
I'm finding you.
It's
It's like finding Nemo.
Except one's a cute small fish and the other's an elderly hippie with a bad attitude.
Are you ready?
Yay!
I found it.
How do we get...
How do I make it bigger?
What? I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
Those are the maggots inside. There's 300 of them in there. Inside the sort of thing a bit like a tea bag that is at the moment gaffer taped to my right heel. And that is particularly, I think that's a really interesting piece of footage, that.
Do they come out of the tea bag?
No, they eat the necrotic fluid through the necrotic flesh through the holes, the mesh in the tea bag.
Oh, I see.
It's
So
not
they're not let loose on you then?
Well, no, I wanted to steal them because I don't like the idea of them after they've done their business being disposed of. So I told the hospital that I was an animal rights activist and I was going to kidnap them and keep them and let them fly loose when they grow into green bottle flies. But as I said, I like the idea of there being 300 green bottles flying around North Devon with my decomposing flesh in their stomachs, and the doctor told me I was disgusting.
I'm just looking at them wiggling around in there. There's some fat ones, really fat ones, and some skinny ones.
I can feel them squiggling around on my foot.
It doesn't look like there's that many in there, does it? Like in that actual bag.
It's actually much fatter than it looks.
Why are they all going at the bottom? Why aren't they all spread evenly around?
I have no idea. You're going to have to ask the maggots.
Is it just a gravity thing?
I have no idea. You now know pretty well as much about the subject as I do, but I thought I would share that piece of footage with you just because, well, I filmed it for you, so it's
Moving
particularly
the bag.
revolting. Yeah, I can feel them now. I can feel them wiggling around on my heel.
Does it tickle?
Sort of. It's a bit more squidgier than tickling, but it's quite unpleasant. And it actually hurts a bit. It hurts more than I'm used to.
See, I couldn't have that because I'd be too. If it tickled, I'd be too busy laughing for no reason, so I couldn't have it.
You wouldn't be because the pain would get rid of that.
Oh, would it? So do you think it's the pain is more intense because of what they're doing? They're
No, it's
cleaning it,
because
cleaning out.
because they're eating away all the necrotic fluid and necrotic tissue, and underneath you've got raw flesh.
Yeah.
They're exposing raw flesh.
Rob says, are they common maggots or special
Th-
sterile ones?
They are from green bottles, which, as I'm sure you all know, they're like blue bottles but green, but they are special. They are especially sterile. I said to them, couldn't they just get some maggots in the fishing bait shop and put them on? And they were appalled at the idea. They have to be specially irradiated and sterile. To which I said, does that mean if they've been irradiated, they're going to grow into giant mutant flies with my face flying around North Devon? And again, he told me I was being stupid.
Well, let's say that only eat the bad tissue, or
Yes,
so she
they only
said.
eat the dead tissue, the necrotic rotting tissue. I thought I'd just share it with you because this is a show about weird stuff. And I think one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me is being eaten alive by maggots on my foot. So I thought I'd share it with you.
But you see that in some of the third world countries, and I know some people are going to say, oh, they go to these poor starving people anyway. But I do know, and I have heard of them using maggots and open wounds anyway. But they don't put them in a nice bag like you've got.
Oh,
They just shove the maggots
Nicky,
in.
the ancient Romans used maggots to clean up wounds. I mean, it's something that's been in human history for thousands of years.
Rob says about Nettie's comment, why the F are you reading about maggots?
If you had them on your foot, dear boy, you'd be reading about them as well.
No, Nettie, she says she's reading about maggots.
I just find it interesting. But
That's
anyway, that was all I've shared with you. It's nothing of any great mystery, but it's just weird enough. I thought that it would go into the show.
it's interesting stuff. Well, when you think about it, though, these blue bottles and flies and whatever flying insects, they lay all their eggs on body matter, like anything dead,
Yeah.
and or if a human dies in their home, the first you're going to know about it, if nobody else knows that this person's deceased, is the flies, the smell, and the smell comes from the rotting meat that the maggots eat that turn into flies. But this is what gets me. Where do the maggots come from when somebody dies in their home and they're left there for weeks? Where are they
Because
coming from?
the smell of the decomposing person will attract flies, and flies will lay their eggs on the.
How do they get in?
Well, people don't all live in hermetically sealed things. Have windows open.
What if you haven't got a window open?
Well, then you don't get eaten by maggots, for fuck's sake. God. God almighty.
It's interesting. I love it.
Now, I tell you what, I'll tell you something else which is cryptozoological and interesting. Now, I can't remember the name of the exact name, but it's called something like the battlefield fly.
The battlefield fly.
Battlefield fly, and it used to be noted. Okay, hang on a second. I'm just going to check and find you a picture. Hold on.
That's what I'm doing now while you're talking.
Well, I'm not sure if it is battlefield fly, so
Oh, battle fly. Oh no.
it's got a
Battle.
yellow. It's got a yellow thorax. it's a species of fly which used to be quite well known in Europe, and I can't find the bloody thing anyway, so I'm just going to have to tell you about this, it used to be quite well known in Europe until the 1600s when it became extinct. And it became extinct because it was best known for infesting battlefields after there'd been a battle.
Ooh.
And its maggot and laying its eggs on fresh corpses. And this species of fly was the fly whose maggots would clear up all the corpses after a battle.
Yeah.
And it became extinct roughly the sort of time when people stopped leaving. It's got a yellow thorax, and I can't remember what it's called. It was rediscovered. It became extinct, or allegedly became extinct, sometime in the 16 or 1700s battlefields battlefields in, hang on, what's that one there? That black one with the yellow.
This one.
No, I don't know if it's that one or not.
Snipe fly, that one is.
No. It became extinct roughly round about the time when people started taking their dead home to give them Christian burials after a battle.
Oh, okay.
And it was rediscovered in Spain about 40 years ago, about 30 years ago, and rediscovered in Denmark by a friend of mine very recently. So there is a cryptozoological element to these two flies eating human beings, which is a nice, jolly subject for this evening.
But it is still like quite interesting, and there's no point shying away from this kind of topic because I think it's quite interesting because without these insects, how do we exist? How do we?
We wouldn't.
There's one, the hairy fly with the yellow abdomen. This one, black head, yellow abdomen.
I can't remember what the name of the thing is. I know it's got a Wikipedia page about it.
Wow. All these different types of flies. I never, just by scrolling and looking on Google like this, I'm seeing so many different types of fly that I never even knew existed. It's quite interesting.
Oh, I think it's fascinating. These things.
Bacteria bugwood. No, that can't be it. Amazing little flies.
No, I think they're fascinating. Aha!
I'm coming out now. Oh, shall I stay in here?
I've got it. It's no, stay in because I found out the name of the thing. It's called the bone skipper fly.
Right, okay.
And I am just sending you its Latin name because I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. I can't even pronounce the word pronounce.
Ooh. Oh, it's horror films. What is this? The bone skipper fly.
That's the name. If you want to look that up, that's the one we're looking for. And it was last seen in the 1840s, apparently, as recently as that.
It's got a yellow head.
Yes.
And a black body.
Yes.
And it looks like something out of a horror film. Look at it.
I can't see it. You're not showing the screen.
Oh, am I not? Oh, let me go back. Hang on, let me share this. I thought I was still sharing, so apologies, guys. Apologies. Get
Yeah, I'm
back to the
sorry that
bone.
I kept on. I had just like every time we do these shows, I have no idea. It's nasty looking thing, isn't it?
It looks like it should be in a horror film.
Yes, it's just fairly recently been rediscovered.
Look at that cute little
Rediscovered in
face, though.
Spain, and my mate Lars rediscovered it in Denmark.
Look at that cute little face, though. Look, looks like it's got little nostrils and a mouth there.
All the better to eat you with, dear.
It's a weird looking thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The bone skipper fly. What? So is it called the bone skipper because of eating?
You now know pretty well as much as I know about the subject. Just that somehow we'd managed to get on the subject of cannibalistic flies because of my foot.
That's
In
your
fact, they're
fault.
not cannibalistic, are they? It's
No,
only
they do what they do. They're cleaning up.
yeah, it's only cannibalistic for your own kind.
Oh, did they spread the plague, do you think?
They probably stopped the plague because they got rid of because their maggots got rid of bodies that otherwise would have rotted and spread diseases.
Trust Rob. I just saw this comment. Oh, he saw the picture of the three having intercourse, making more maggots.
Yeah, I hope nobody minds we got the subject of flies eating people on there. What I love about doing these shows, dear sweet Vivian, is that I have no idea what we're going to talk about until it happens, which is why I keep on having to disappear off to find photographs, because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
But neither do I.
This show really should be called Winging It with John and Viv, because we just make it up as we go along.
But no, the fly thing though, that is actually real. We're not making that up. That's actually something that used to happen and is happening again.
I haven't made any. I don't think I've ever made anything up on the show. I mean, the world is such a weird. Hi, Ned. The
Hi,
world
Ned.
is such a weird and fantastic place. You don't need to make shit up.
Lucky flies, the three having intercourse together. There was a picture that was on that YouTube thing, that Google thing that I had up. Of flies doing it. That's called fly porn. We won't get involved with fly porn because we're not interested.
Just to recap, Ned, I've managed to injure my foot again. I do it every 7 or 8 months. I've done it for years. And they have put maggots, the doctors have put maggots on my foot to get rid of the necrotic tissue. And so we've just got the subject of flies eating people. And we were talking about the rediscovery of a fly called the bone skipper fly, which used to be found around the battlefields of Europe, with its maggots feasting on corpses, and allegedly became extinct, but then was rediscovered a few years ago. So that was being very succinct for me.
You can watch it on replay, Ned, and you can see the actual
Look
maggots.
at King Charles, his hot comes,
His lot, maybe.
his hat comes from Pinker Island. His what? What?
I don't know. His honey. His honey.
Well, how the hell were we supposed to get honey from hot?
I think it's spell dictionary thingies. type in
I
quickly.
know. But there's no point in being on a chat show if you can't be rude to the audience.
Oh, Rob loves it. He loves it. He knows we love him, really.
Pitcairn's a very interesting, strange place. No, leeches. Leeches, they don't. Leeches will drink body fluids, but they want fresh blood body fluids. The flies, or the maggots of the flies, eat necrotic rotting tissue.
Yeah.
Pitcairn's a very interesting place. I've always wanted to go there.
A lot of it's a breeding there.
Well, on Pitcairn Islands, well, there's only about 50 of them, and only, I think, 7 families.
And they're all brothers and sisters.
They're all, well, you know the history of the Pitcairn Islands, don't you?
No?
Have you seen that old movie, Mutiny on the Bounty?
No.
Oh, God. Young people today, have you heard of the Mutiny on the Bounty?
Yes.
Well, what happened was that the leader of the mutineers, a guy called Fletcher Christian, put Captain Bligh and his loyal officers out to sea in a boat and left them there. The mutineers then took over the boat, the Bounty, went back to Tahiti to grab some local chicks, and then, and don't try this at home, boys and girls, and I'm not condoning. And then they buggered off looking for a place that they would be safe from the British Navy, because they knew that the British Navy would come after them. And eventually they found an island called Pitcairn, which had been discovered about 150 years before. And they had discovered was shown in the wrong place in all the Admiralty charts. So they reckoned they'd be safe there. And so Fletcher Christian, his now 3 or 4 wives, and the rest of the mutineers landed at Pitcairn, scuppered the Bounty, and set up a colony there. And it's still a British colony ever since. There's only about 50 of them living there. About a third of them are known as still the Christian surname, which is the most powerful family on the island still after 250, best part of 250 or more years. And it's still a British colony now, and it's a very strange place, and I'd love to go there.
Is that near Tahiti then?
No, it's right in the middle of it's the nearest place would be Mangaroa on French Polynesia. I believe that's
Right.
5 miles away. It's so small it doesn't have a British governor. It's still a British dependent territory, but the Governor General of New Zealand is also the governor of Pitcairn.
The way it's called Pitcairn, it sounds quite Scottish, doesn't it? I thought it was up there in Scotland somewhere.
Well, the language they speak, which is a sort of weird English, it's a patois of sort of 17th century English, modern American slang, and Tahiti and South Polynesian. And it's called Picken, Pikern, which is the version of English they speak. And if you look at
is that the island where you can't go there because you could infect them with colds and all that sort of thing? Is that island? There's one island you can never visit, and I wondered if it's that one.
No, that's part of India. That's South Sentinel Island.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, is incredibly peculiar island, because when you were in India, did you ever hear of the Gonds? Gonds?
Yes.
the original pre-Indian, pre the Desi people. Well, the most primitive them live on this island called South Sea,
Oh, right. Okay.
and no one is allowed to land there ever.
No, because it will kill them, won't it? Because we could bring
Yeah.
diseases with
Well,
us. And
also the last few people who did land, they get speared to death and have their
yeah,
heads put on
and eaten.
spikes. I don't think they get eaten, but they get sort of. They've been fairly brutally butchered.
Hmm. There you go. And if you want any tips, that's who you need to write to. Send them an email.
Why would a net? Yes,
Well,
yeah, the Sentinelese. Yes.
she was talking about how to dispose of a body. That's why she was looking into maggots.
What nice people we have on this show.
Well, I every morning when I get into work for about a year, I watch a lot of documentaries, hard case files, and all sorts of stuff about serial killers. And the one serial killer that really impressed me was the one with the acid bath murders, who was just down the road from me.
John
Seems like
Hay.
the, yeah, it seems like the best way to get rid of a body. Just obliterate them.
I think you could
Shouldn't say
probably
that.
have loads and loads of. If you were determined, you could breed a load of maggots in advance. And
But the thing is, they don't get rid of bone, do they? So that's the only thing with a maggot.
no, probably the best way of doing it is the way that I can't remember if it is Hindus or Jains, the ones who do the air burial, where basically the vultures come and take.
Yes, yes. But
And I can't remember if it is. I think it's Jains, but
I see that. I saw that in Bombay. I'll come back to that in a minute. But to answer Ned's question there, pigs do not eat every part of the body because they cannot digest the teeth. So if you feed a body to the pigs, be aware that the teeth don't get digested. And so when it comes out the other end, people can still be identified through dental records by the teeth. So yeah, feeding someone to the pigs is not a good idea. And not get caught. Bury in a graveyard. Somebody did that, didn't they? They opened up a grave and shoved a body on top of the coffin and reburied them. I think they got caught in the end.
I'm sure people have done it. I mean,
Yeah.
so what is the theme of tonight's show? Death.
Maggots and death. I'll tell you about what happened to me. I was about, how old I must have been about 14. And I went to Bombay, as it was called then, now called Mumbai, to visit family. And I was in the house with the servants, and the parents, they all went out. We had the servants there. And my little cousin, Arjun, he was 11 at the time. He's a right little bugger. Anyway, he says, "Come on, Vivian, we're going out. We're just going to go outside, just there to the park." I went, "Oh, okay then." And in those days, places like Bombay stunk to high heaven anyway. You get a putrid smell, and it was nothing unusual. So we went to this park, and it had, which I thought was strange for there, it was like a wrought iron fencing all the way around that I could see. And then it had bushes. So you had the fence and then you had bushes. So you couldn't see into the park, but they had these big gates that were open. So we walked in, and it's not like the parks you get here. Lots of big trees, banana trees and, all fantastical plants as you first walk in and lovely flowers. And then you've walked down the pathway a little bit and the smell gets worse. And the smell, honestly, that smell of death, I will never, ever, ever in my life forget that. He sort of ran up ahead of me and expected me to run after him. So, which I did. And then when I got up to him, he just turned. He didn't actually look. He pointed. And what I saw was part of somebody's leg that was in a state of And I was then violently sick and then ran out.
Worse.
And when I spoke to somebody who was walking past the park, because they saw how ill I was, they said, "Why did you go into that funeral place?" I went, "I beg your pardon?" And it's where they would put the poorer people that couldn't afford to have whatever funeral after they passed away. The bodies were placed in this park for the vultures and the other animals to come and do what they do and dispose of flesh. So that was my experience of that. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't recommend going to see one at all. One, the smell. Two, you never know what you're going to see. And I would have thought, thinking back, you'd see a body part in its a body in its entirety. No, the vultures peck at them and carry bits off. So it's just like, ugh. Yeah, no, it's not a very good place. But yeah, that was a nice memory I have of my cousin, who is a little shit,
Is
basically.
he still a little shit?
Yes, he pushed his sister out of her 30, they were on the 30th floor, and he pushed her out the window. She didn't survive. Yeah, little shit. Yeah, not quite the full ticket, but yeah.
He sounds a horrible little sod.
He was. And I spent, when I was over there with them both, I spent a bit of time with him. He would get an air gun out and shoot the God, what you call those lizards that run up the walls?
Geckos.
The geckos. Yeah, he'd shoot them off. There'd be all little pot shots in the ceiling where his parents let him have a gun. Yeah.
That sounds like the sort of child you should not be allowed to have a gun.
Exactly. More money than sense, but there you go.
But you're right, Bombay, at least back in the day, did smell the high house.
It was disgusting. Disgusting place, Bombay.
I was there for about 4 days in 1971, but...
Was you?
Yeah.
Yes, I was very young back then. Very, very young. Yes. So Nettie says she's writing down all the tips. It's called a Texas funeral. Look at India. You stick a candle in its bowels down the river. What? I was reading about farms, I think, in America that leave dead bodies. I think we got some over here in the UK as well.
Yeah, we have called body farms. I know that it's either Southampton or Portsmouth University. I can never remember which one's which. They've got a small one for animal bodies that they use so they can get the skeletons for their museum. Because a mate of mine is one of the professors there.
I had a friend that worked at, it was, oh God, what's that? It's Chesington World of Adventures, but back then in the day it was called Chesington Zoo because it was a zoo. And at that time, one of the elephants had passed away that they had there, and they had to get the diggers in, the tractors in, to dig the grave to bury the elephant in. I said, "Why are you burying the elephant? Just cut it up and feed it to the big cats." And they said, "No, because they want the skeleton, that they use the skeleton after that. So they bury whatever dies, and then later on they dig them back up again. So I just said it just seems like a pointless exercise personally, but yeah, that I thought was interesting.
Well, it's not the only reason. It's also, you'll never find a zoo feeding dead specimens of one of its species to another one, just in case the animal died of an infection. You're then going to make the infection jump across species, so it can
Yeah,
affect another species.
yeah. I know that when my auntie, her horse Cleo, had to be put down, and the vet come, and Veronica was taken out. My auntie Veronica was taken out because they don't shoot the horses in the head; they bolt them, and it's not a very nice thing to see. But they were then asking her afterwards, "What do you want to do with the carcass?" Of course, she was no fit state. She said, "Do what you want. I don't care. My Cleo's gone," as you would. And so they decided that Cleo would be taken to the zoo, which is literally a few miles down the road, and she would go to the big cats. And they were very happy to receive the meat because it's expensive and to keep those animals fed and what have you. So it makes you wonder whether other vets are doing the same, like for the zoos.
Probably.
It'd be nice to think that that's what was happening. The circle of life.
What are you, circle of lifing dog?
He wants one of those biscuits. He knows you have them.
Yes, I was hoping. Can I have a little bit of a biscuit?
He says, "That's good. They are yummy." He doesn't chew them, does he?
No, he inhales them.
Do you know what? Rob says it takes 20 years to turn a body in a coffin into a skeleton.
I'm not surprised.
It's a long time when you think about it. Yeah, he is cute, Ned. Not Jonathan.
Well,
Archie.
there are people who would disagree with you.
Well, I
Some
spoke to
people
my...
think I'm cute.
Do you know, I spoke to my auntie and she's looking out for slutty aunts for you.
Hang on,
Oh.
can you see who's in the audience?
No. No. Yes, I can see.
Is there anybody called Isabel in the audience?
Oh no, Isabel's your betrothed. And to you, Jonathan. She's saying that you're cute. No, he's not. Don't say things like that.
I'm not going to rise to the debate about slutty aunts.
Slutty aunts.
The audience.
It's just a joke. Oh dear. Right. We have been going an hour, Jonathan. Do you want to go longer?
An hour talking about nothing, really.
Well, we have. We've been talking about maggots and their job and what they do. It's been interesting.
And little called Archie.
And the fly, the bone fly. Yes, it's quite interesting. We need to know about these things because you never know.
I find them interesting, and
especially in ghost hunting.
Don't talk about.
In ghost hunting, you could find yourself in a graveyard and surrounded by these type of flies and not know what they're there, why they're there, or their purpose. So I think it's quite
flies.
I think it's interesting.
Are there any ghost flies?
Why wouldn't there be ghost flies?
It would depend on what a ghost is, but I see no reason why there shouldn't be. I just never heard of one.
See, like, people rave on about these orbs, right? Me personally, I don't like them. There's a logical explanation for them, as far as I'm concerned. But some people would say that they're ghost flies. I've never seen a ghost fly or heard of a ghost fly.
I've heard of ghost chickens.
Have you?
Yeah,
What, real ghost?
there's ghost chickens in Richard's highest strangeness book, which I strongly recommend to everybody.
I know there's ghost monkeys.
Well,
Because
yeah,
we know about
yes,
we know about that one.
The wanking monkey in Athelhampton Hall.
Yes. And a lot of people have said that they've actually seen it and experienced this monkey.
I wonder how they experience it.
Apparently, it sits on the wardrobe doing what it does. They've seen it. That's disgusting.
What are you doing, dog? Yes,
Right.
Anyway, sorry, we got off subject again.
Yes, ghosts of animals. Because, like, you have ghosts of pets. Oh my God. Nico is saying something really funny here. To see the monkeys in concert, the ghost monkeys. Well, you have to wait a bit longer because Mickey Dolenz is still with us.
He's the only one left, isn't he?
Yeah. God, he must be ancient now. He must be getting on in years, Mickey Dolenz.
Well, I would imagine so. I mean, he's probably going to be in his 80s.
Yeah. But it's one of those we'll never know. But I do feel like a ghost hunt's coming on soon. Now we got this nicer weather. I think I need to be out there doing a bit more and some cryptid stuff. 80's not old.
Well, you can come and do. You can come and hunt ghosts here before I leave the place if you want.
Yes, definitely. But I also need to get out there because there's been a lot of sightings in this area where I live of cats, supposed cats. Might have to give Nico a call at some point and get him out. A lot of these sightings, honestly, they're not. They really are not what people think they are. Even though there's photographs, they're all out of proportion. They're the common household cat. But yes, I'm getting itchy feet because I haven't been out since I did that stuff for you, Jonathan, when I went to Cannock Chase.
Did you ever chase up that suburb of Cambridge, I think it was, where a load of people had apparently seen a gorilla running around the streets?
Oh, they drunk. They'd come out of a night. Honestly, the woman that made that report in the newspaper is not credulous at all. Not at all.
Credible, you mean, not
credible. Yes, credulous, credible.
Credulous means you'll believe any old shit.
Yeah. No, she wasn't. So, yeah, that's one. Yeah. So, Nico says he's out later tonight for a different reason. Someone has been trying to poison dogs in my local woods. Oh, no.
Well, get the bastard.
Yes. Yeah, get them and prosecute them and throw the book at them, because it's not just dogs; it's other wildlife as well, isn't it? They're going to ruin. That's awful.
That's another biscuit.
So I've got a thought. So these Bigfoots and woodwoes and these type of cryptids that people are saying that are existing, and they leave presents out like apples and food. Why has nobody tried to poison one or give it ketamine in an apple? Or do you know what I mean? If you want to actually prove without a shadow of a doubt that they exist, why has nobody done that?
What a horrible thought.
But I know it's a horrible thought, but surely if it was laid out unconscious, high on ketamine or LSD or whatever it is that you're going to give it, you got more chance of proving that existence then, surely.
I can't think of anything more frightening than an 8-foot tall hairy man beast off his tits on acid.
It was just a thought why nobody's done that. Rather than pointing guns or cameras, give it some drugs.
But if you
Unconscious.
if you want to try it as an experiment, you always try giving me some drugs and see what happens.
No, but it's just a thought. It's just a thought. Why has nobody tried doing that?
First of all, the reaction of each species would be different. So one has no idea what sort of dose of,
Lots.
let's say, ketamine you'd have to use to incapacitate a Bigfoot type creature. Two, I've never taken ketamine, and the only times I've ever seen people I know using ketamine, it doesn't seem to be much fun, so that's why I've never taken it. But
it's a horse tranquilizer, isn't it? So
yeah, but Christ knows where you get enough to be able to act as a tranquilizer to something that's 8 foot tall. And third of all, I don't think the things are flesh and blood. I don't think they're flesh and blood, at least not in the same way as we're flesh and blood.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd work, but the logic of being able to get hold of... Hang on, Ned, why does your doctor want you to get an infusion? Are you a horse?
No. She's in a lot of pain. Sasquatch is definitely on something.
Oh, we've got to stay on because Gwyn's just going to come and watch.
Okay.
So,
world's gone crazy.
She's just said, oh, okay, I'm going to open up my laptop now. So,
world's gone crazy. We're sitting in the car. A boy came up and said, "Are you thinking about killing me?" I said, "No. If I was, you'd be dead already." That's a true story. That's really sad, isn't it?
That's horrific.
Yeah. Stud Farm would have enough ketamine. I used to work at one.
This is all very, 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 very peculiar.
Yeah, but it was just a thought that
it's I think the main reason against it is that at least in Britain, Australia, and Western Europe, I don't think I don't think any of these things have an objective flesh and blood reality.
No.
I think a lot of the ones in North America don't, but I think there is a chance that some of the North American ones are an unknown animal.
Yeah.
I think that the ones from Central Asia probably are unknown animals.
Yeah.
And I think the ones from Northern India and the Himalayas, have you heard of the Mandi Burong?
Yes. Yes.
Could
Yeah.
we team out, 10 years or so ago, I had to look for that. And
They're longer haired, aren't they, the Mandi Burung?
well, they are basically the Northern Indian version of the Yeti.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think that wood roses have got an objective reality in the same way as we understand reality.
No. I think like the woodwoes are more, I think, this is just my opinion, I think the woodwoes, especially from the drawings that have come down in the ages, look more human than Sasquatch and the others. It just has more defined human features with a few twigs and leaves and other bits sticking out. And I think that's just part of it being stuck onto the hair. I don't think that's got anything else, but I think that looks more human-like than Sasquatch. More evolved.
As I've said on this show on many occasions, I hate the word paranormal because I think these things are perfectly normal. We just don't understand them.
Stand them, yeah.
But I think that the wood roses are into the paranormal area rather than the zoological area.
Spiritual, more spiritual side of it. Yeah. Yeah. Again, another interesting topic though. Talking of the spiritual aspect, push the paranormal to one side, let's call it spiritual, and it's more of a belief system, manifesting, conjuring, asking for, projecting, all that sort of thing. I think us human beings can do that without us actually realizing it.
I agree. I think we create these things, and it's one of my life's work is to try to understand how and why.
Well, Dan is as psychic as a brick and doesn't see anything, but when Dan and I went out together and had that awful experience, he saw the same thing I did. So when you get this projecting and seeing, for me and Dan to see the same thing that isn't your normal box standard average everyday ghostly apparition, to see what we saw, and we both saw it, there is a bit of what I call wonderment. Was I projecting it? Was Dan projecting it? And then I was linking into his energy and picking up that same projection. It still to this day blows my mind. And where we were, when we saw it, that was another thing that I thought, whoa, could have this been there all of the time? It had been summoned, and then we were projecting it because we tapped into that frequency.
I think it's more likely to be that there is some pre-existing thing, something that's an electromagnetic anomaly, a chemical anomaly, a radioactive anomaly, fuck knows.
Yeah.
But something which will act on the consciousness of some people when they go past.
Honestly, that to this day, I still worry. Well, I've been back to the place since. I didn't see it, but then I didn't
Where was the place?
It's in a graveyard in Norfolk.
Well, what the fuck was a nice girl like you doing fucking around in a graveyard in Norfolk?
No, I'd been to this graveyard to see a particular thing inside the church. And we met the church warden, who was lovely enough to let us have full reign for we had it for about an hour or so while he had his tea. And then we said afterwards, oh, we'll hang back, because I locked the church up, we'll hang back. And we'll just like walk around the graveyard and investigate the graveyard. So if you see these flashing lights, it's only us. He said, yeah, that's no problem. I know it's you. And that's when it happened. Oh my God. It was terrible. The church is beautiful.
Tell me what happened again. I mean, I have heard before, but
When it was not quite light and not dark, so dusk, and light was fading, and I saw something whoosh past me really quickly, and it was raggedy, and it was like sackcloth, but you could see through it, and it was grey in colour. I could even see the patterns of the fabric itself, and it was grey in colour, and it shot past me so quickly. It was like, and I said, something's just shot past my face. And Dan went, don't be stupid. Your eyes are playing tricks because the sun's setting, you're going to get shadows. And I went, okay, then fair enough, fair comment, left it. And then I saw it again. But this time where the sun had set, it got darker, and I was seeing the same thing in the distance, but it was black. And what I saw looked like, Harry Potter, the Dementors in Harry Potter. They looked exactly like that, with no hands, no face, hood up, all jaggedy, like, yeah. And I saw it again. And I said, I've just seen it again, but it's a black one. And Dan went, are you sure your eyes are not playing tricks on you? And then with that, I saw another one this side. So there was one there, standing still to the right, and then one to the left. And then two more came from around the back of the church. So there was 4 in total. And then I really lost it. I said, Dan, there's 4 of them now. And I can see, and he could see, as he turned, he quickly saw 2 of them. But they were as fast as the speed of light. They were like, gone. Like, they moved that quickly. And then when Dan finally saw one on its own to the side of the church, who was they were more interested in what we were doing than frightening. But for me, it was frightening because I didn't know what they were about, why they were looking at us. Previously, they'd come that close to me that I could have touched it. I just thought, no, I feel really uncomfortable. I think we need to leave. And Dan's like, no, we'll call him closer. And I went, Dan, no, please don't, because there's 4 of them. There's 2 of us. We don't know what they're about. They might overpower us. We don't know what their intentions are. Let's just leave. And basically, that's what we did after a bit of an argument. we left.
Did you try and cast a circle of protection around yourself?
I carry protection with me anyway when I go out and do my own ghost hunting, and Dan does his too. And we do carry stuff with us. Now I'm quite naughty. I actually carry something that doesn't come from this earth. It's a piece of it fell to the earth, and it's a beautiful green-looking stone that I wear, which I did for an experiment to see how I would cope with it, and it sort of leaves me a little bit wide open to certain situations. But Dan carries his own protection and what have you, and I did have that on that day when we went there.
I've never actually been looking for these things. They just come and find me.
You see, we didn't look for it. We were looking for ghosts. We were interested in the Second World War, the graffiti there, some of the people that were buried there. There was a folklore of a lord that is buried in the grounds. We initially went there to see a waxwork figure of a lady inside the church in a cupboard. It's amazing. It's just, but yeah.
Which actually, sidestepping a second, again, when the nurse came this morning to check my dressings, he had a student nurse with him, and they went out to what used to be my study, and I heard this exclamation, "Fucking shit, is that a human skull there?" I said, "Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I've got a human skull there." And yeah, I said, "Yeah." She said, "Why the fuck have you got a human skull there?" And you could see him when he came back in again, looking incredibly shocked that he'd actually sworn in front of his student.
Why your human skull? Is it? Do you know anything about it? Do you know?
Yeah, yes.
Is it a male or female skull?
I don't know that, but I used to work back when I was a student nurse. Christ, that's about 40 years ago. In fact, I think it's over 40 years ago now. I worked in a hospital that was closing down, which had been a teaching hospital. And in a locked cupboard in a ward that was being demolished, I found part of a human skeleton that had been, what do they call it? Articulated.
Dismantled. Right.
No,
Yeah.
and so it had been and if you looked inside the top of the skull, you could see where the blood vessel, the things that blood vessels go through had been painted, and so it was a teaching specimen. And I found out that before it was a teaching hospital, part of it had been a poorhouse.
Oh.
People died in a poorhouse, their bodies went to science. So that's all
Yeah.
I know about it. And I've had him or her ever since.
Well, it's funny we're talking about human skulls
It's all about
because
death this week, isn't it?
I've entered a raffle today to win either a human skull or a mystery box which will have human bones in it. I'm hoping I get the skull, but you never know.
You are fucking weird, you are.
I
I,
want a human skull.
uh,
I have a plaster cast of one of the skulls that adorns the inside of a church in the Czech Republic called the Church of Bones. And I know this, the plaster cast that Andy got is of one of the soldiers that was buried there all that long ago in the Church of Bones. And he he picked up this plaster cast thing that they were selling. He said, "I'm going to buy this." I said, "If you want." He said, "Yeah, I'm going to buy this." I said, "How are you going to get it home?" He said, "I want to put it in my hand luggage and carry it on board the plane." I said, "Yeah, but it's got to go in for x-ray." He went, "So?" His
so
hand luggage,
it's not metal, it's not a bomb, it's not like
he put it through the x-ray and nobody batted an eyelid. They just didn't. I'm thinking, shit, like you could have walked a human skull through that x-ray and nobody would have said anything.
well, because it's not going to show up on an X-ray that's looking for bombs and guns and things, and the sniffer dogs would not sniff out heroin because there isn't any.
Define weird.
This show is massively weird, and Vivian is even weirder.
I can define weird. Jonathan,
I'm not weird.
you are.
I'm perfectly normal. I'm just surrounded by all these nut jobs.
We're all weird.
I'm not. I'm perfectly normal.
Ned's looking for a coffin. You can build one yourself. MDF. You build it out of MDF and paint it pretty colours. You could stick it in the garden, put some dirt in it, and plant some lovely flowers.
I'm not going. I'm going to have I'm just going to have a body bag, and I'll have Graham gaffer tape me to the roof of our car.
Oh dear. We love the weird.
That's very sweet of you, Annette.
You know what? I think it's weird that makes the world go round. But if we want to
Weird is actually a Scandinavian word spelled W-Y-R-D, which means unknown.
So that's what a ghost is, weird.
Yeah.
Why do we use that terminology, ghost? Because we don't know that it is a ghost.
Oh, no, we do. We don't know what a ghost actually is.
No.
And I, for one, think it's high. So much. Well, my girlfriend. I need to know more about this story. Tell us more, Ned.
Coffin. Maybe they're talking about the coffin. Nico is weird and proud of it, and he's also a little treacle.
Oh, Nico's a sweetie pie.
Yeah.
What were we saying? Can't remember. We were talking. Oh yeah, ghosts. I personally don't think ghosts are the spirits of the dead.
Well, the thing is, there's too many different types. For example, I hate the word poltergeist, noisy ghost. Well, poltergeist activity we know is us and not another phenomena doing it. It is us that is doing it.
And
So there's one.
Mostly being pubescent girls.
Yeah, or people going through horrific or bad situations. Then you have doppelganger. That's not a ghost. So a doppelganger is that when you see your twin, and I've seen my twin, it's a harbinger of death, isn't it? Or some
Jesus, there aren't two of you, are there?
Apparently so. But she's a bit fatter than me, so at least I've got the better body.
A thing. I'm not even going to comment on this because it would be being accused of being sexist, I'm sure.
Oh, I don't care. You say what you like with me. I don't give a shit. You know me.
I know, but somebody in the audience would probably then complain on Twitter and have me bloody cancelled or something.
Because we are sheep and we don't think for ourselves, just like they say, grass is green, is really green, or even grass, just because we have to be told what it is. What it is, well, it is really.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree. We have to make up our own minds for what shit is.
But then he knows where the line is.
I don't. That's the trouble, Robert.
The line is in the middle of the road.
I've no fucking idea where the line is, so I always have to err on the side of caution.
Brainwashing, exactly my point, Ned. Brainwashing. I saw my twin. Apparently, he's rent boys in Vegas. It was on a documentary. So Nico's twin is a rent boy.
Nothing I can say to that, Nico, my dear boy.
He had blonde hair, though. Chantal!
Chantal, where have you been all evening, my dear?
She's been busy.
Dear, dear, dear. It's not the same without you, dear.
I know. It's not the same without Dan singing to her.
Sorry?
It's not the same without Dan singing to her. We need Isabel on here. We need you to sing to Isabel.
Is she on yet?
No.
Are you there, Isabel?
She might see it on catch up, so.
Is Gwyn there?
Gwyn, if you're there, can you say hello? He's okay. He's surviving. He's got a very bad back injury, so it'll be a little while.
Poor.
It'll be a little while before he's back. She missed the notification. Yeah. Well, what can we say? Can I do a big shout out to Gwyn?
Guinevere, are you there, Guinevere?
She's an amazing woman, Gwyn is.
Oh, she's absolutely.
And she has the most adorable children as well.
I adore those two little boys.
They are cute, aren't they, both of them? Get him to contact me. I can help him. I can mention it to him. That's all I can do. But yeah, he's not in a very good place at the minute with the back pain. So yeah, that would be great if you could. Pauline Brand, what is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is number 47, isn't it?
42.
42. Why did I think of 47?
I have no idea. I can't think of a witty comeback to that.
42. That's going back some years, isn't it?
I enjoy doing these shows with you. Because basically we're just riffing on talking bollocks for an hour.
Well, we did talk some sensible stuff earlier on about the maggots and the flies.
Yes.
Robert says that's the Pisces sign, yeah? It's two fishes, one going swimming one way, the other one swimming the other way. Yeah. I'll let him know, Ned, when I speak to him, and tell him to get in contact with you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Ned. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. That's really kind of you.
He's a dear, sweet man, Dan. I'm very, very fond of him.
Yeah. I think we all are, aren't we?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's horrible. That is horrible.
I've got to the stage now. A lot of my friends and acquaintances are dropping down dead. I've lost a lot of people in the last year. Oh, I'm sorry, my dear.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. Do you know what I think as well, though, Paulie, is that it's harder for the people that are left behind rather than the people that move on. Because it depends. It also depends on how they go and who's witnessing it, because that will leave a mark with you as well.
I was there holding my wife's hand when she died, and I was there holding my father's hand when he died. The other two people whose deaths I witnessed, it was when I was a nurse and they were total strangers. But come to think of it, I held both of their hands as they died. So.
See, I had my uncle in my arms when he passed away, and he had a violent death. And what happened, and I don't mind telling you, is that he had a rupture in his lung that came out he had the death rattle for ages, and it was filling with fluid,
Oh, poor.
and then he brought that up, so it came out of every extremity, his mouth and his nose, and it was while that was coming out that he actually did pass. And I felt really guilty because it was a horrible thing to see and witness, him dying like that and with so much blood, which wasn't really blood, it was old blood.
Yeah.
It was horrible to see. But then after, he was pronounced dead and he was laying there, and they took all the wires and stuff out of him, I felt relief, because he suffered cancer and he wasn't in any more pain. But then I had to live with for quite a long time what I witnessed, which wasn't nice.
It will be with you forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it's like I've said this to people and they don't understand, but I think you'll understand, Viv. I spent 26 months watching my wife die.
yeah,
And the morning she died, Graham came to collect me from the hospice. And I got in the car and I said, thank fuck that's over.
yeah, because they're not suffering anymore.
And I said that to somebody and they thought I was being callous. But I wasn't. It was horrible, her suffering. And it was horrible for me and the other people who loved her to watch her go through. And it was over.
Yeah. Ned says, I got a phone call from the hospital saying, your mum passed away 5 minutes ago. Arsewipes, not impressed.
No, I don't think I.
No, that's not good. No, I must admit, the hospice were absolutely fantastic with my uncle, and because I'm his next of kin, they called me and said, you need to get down here now. Now, we did have a few false alarms, but I did exactly what they said, and I even had a conversation with him when he was still compos mentis and could talk. And it was weird because he told me to go and make him a cup of tea. And the man hated tea, never drank tea in his life. He was a coffee man. But these things bring me happy memories of him,
Yeah.
I've had to learn to live with what I saw and experienced. And, he'll forever live in here with me. And that's good enough,
And as long as you remember somebody, they're not truly dead.
Guess what? His name was John Taylor.
Who was not John another Taylor? One.
John Taylor is in Duran Duran.
And he was in. Hang on, who the hell? There are so many John Taylors around.
I know, John Taylor. He was a one. Why John Taylor was a one of a kind.
And he wasn't in Duran Duran.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't in Duran Duran. Which is
it wouldn't particularly surprise me if you did know somebody in Duran Duran. So
no, I don't know anybody in Duran Duran. No, I only know. Who do I know? I know somebody that was in the Sex Pistols, and I have his phone number in my phone.
Oh, cool.
That's all I can say.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I used to know the original guitarist from The Clash.
Did you?
Was then the guitarist in Public Image. But he died a couple of years ago. He was one of my clients for a while.
Yeah.
Because I do have a legitimate form of making my. I do have a legitimate form of support. I've been working in the music business most of my life, and I'm still doing it now. So I spent today writing bloody sales notes for Rick Wakeman.
Did you?
And I hate writing the sales notes. It's a horrible job. I spent all day writing sales notes.
That is funny. Has he got any ghost stories, Rick Wakeman?
You just want to get him on the show, don't you?
Only if he's got ghost stories.
I
'Cause he
don't
must
know
know.
if he does,
He must
but
know stuff.
I do know who you should have on the show.
Go on.
My mate Judge Smith, who is,
Get him on.
you know Judge?
No, but get him on.
He's a songwriter. He was the original drummer of the Van de Graaff Generator, and he's written stage musicals and stuff. And he wrote some of the songs for Not 9 O'Clock News and all sorts of things. I've known him for years. He is on paper he's still a client of mine, but I haven't done anything for him for years. But he's fascinated about he can talk about the history of Ouija boards.
Ooh.
And past life survival is his thing. Hold on a second. I've been criminals trying to get onto the thingy.
What do you think, guys? Should we get him on? Mind you, we'd have to behave ourselves when we would have to behave.
Oh, Judge is a sweetie.
Ned says, get him on, Jonathan.
I will do my best, Ned.
And Rob says, Marmalade, the group, stopped and asked him directions.
Now, the guitarist of Marmalade, whose name I can't remember. He was my client for about 3 days, then he went and died.
Ned says, never behave. And Nettie says, we need to get Judge on.
I will try and get him on because he's a sweetie. I've known him for a long time.
That's all we can ask. Thanks, Jonathan.
Yes, I am, you silly bugger. Not you.
He's talking to somebody else.
Not you. No. Because there's somebody wanting to know if I just sent them a link to the show because they wanted to know where I was. And I said, I'm on here. So is that a show? Yes. Are you on the show? Yes. Are you sure you're on? Yes, of course I'm sure I'm
Jonathan, you're not really here. You're somewhere else. It's all an illusion.
Life is an illusion brought on by lack of drugs.
God, we're back to the drug thing again.
Well, to be quite honest, I'm in quite a lot of pain at the moment, and I am on a cocktail of and I don't get on very well with antibiotics. I always get off my tits on antibiotics. And I'm on a heavy dose of antibiotics plus some quite heavy duty painkillers.
Yeah.
And so I'm a bit I'm worse than usual.
It's fine.
Which is saying something, probably.
I'm
Not
looking.
quite, but I'm getting there, Ned. I'm getting there, dear boy.
I'm looking at our pictures, and then beneath me and beneath your beard, you've got some electricity, and I've got electricity. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
Yes, it looks like yes. I know it's electricity, but I think it looks like tentacles with jellyfish glowing in the dark.
We just go wibble, wobble, wibble, wobble.
I've always been totally and utterly fascinated by jellyfish.
Have you?
Oh, God, yeah. Fascinating.
Why can't we eat jellyfish?
We can.
Have you tried jellyfish?
Yes.
What does it taste like?
It was in a Japanese restaurant in Hong Kong about 54 years ago. And from what I remember, it tasted a bit like rubber bands. Rubber bands in sesame seed oil. Didn't taste of anything much, but
It wasn't quite appetising.
no, but I have eaten. At least I can say I have eaten jellyfish tentacle.
Have you tried sea urchin? I've tried a bit of sea urchin.
Yeah.
Didn't taste of anything when I tried
No.
it.
No, I remember eating it, and I can't remember. I had it in sushi, and I can't remember. I can't remember it tasting of anything in particular.
I ate this thing, and I said, "Oh, what is that?" After I'd eaten it, they went sea urchin, and it's like, "Oh."
You should be such a wuss, throwing up when you see a dead body rotting away, and nearly throwing up because you eat a sea
Sea
urchin.
urchin.
Really, Vivian?
But I've eaten snake, and that was fine.
Yeah, I've eaten snake.
And that was fine. But sea urchin is like, so I know.
I don't eat meat at all now. I haven't eaten meat in years.
Yeah.
Purely because, I've been flirting with being a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian on and off since I was about 20. But about 8-9 years ago, I saw a film on YouTube about pig farming, and I was so appalled by it. I haven't eaten anything. I haven't eaten.
Is Isabel a vegetarian? Because I think if your partner's a vegetarian, it makes that conversion somewhat easier, doesn't it?
No, she eats meat.
She's a good girl, she is.
Why? Because she eats meat.
Yeah, meat eaters rule the world. I've been living with a snake for years. What, a pet? I'm not talking about your third leg either, Rob.
Vivian, you're lowering the tone of this
I'm
conversation.
asking him about his snake and if it's a pet.
Really, really, Vivian. No, you're not. You're just being vulgar.
Do you remember Rolf Harris used to do this sketch, and he became a man called Jake the Peg with his extra leg.
On Jake the Peg. Sha-la-la, bye, bye.
Nico's partner is vegan, but he could never give up this. God's sake.
Well, my wife was vegetarian. I'm nearly vegan, and for years I said I was vegan, but I'd eat eggs as long as they came from my own chickens because I knew they'd been nicely looked after. But I don't have any chickens anymore, so. But I don't eat.
Actually, you're telling fibs because you have a chicken
Oh, I've got hennies.
and I've got a crow. I don't know where my crow's gone. Cat's been here. I hope he hasn't carried it off somewhere.
Hennis is back in his box downstairs.
We need to do a little 5-minute show with chicken and crow.
I still want to do that to Daniel when he comes
Oh,
back.
we'll have to save it when he comes back.
And
Oh,
tweak
he'll
the
freak
living
out.
fuck out of him, poor boy.
He will find it so funny. I bet he carries on as normal, as if nothing's strange. It'll be me and you. Hey, we're speaking at a conference in
Well, you are.
May. Maybe I should have you on and we could do chicken and crow on stage.
It would really piss Daniel off, wouldn't
Oh, shh. Let's not talk about it.
it? No. If you're watching this, Daniel, just wait. Just wait.
Well, we are coming to the end of the show, but before we do end, we got to tell you about.
Crikey, I don't know, where's the last 40 minutes gone? Last time we spoke, it was like 9:15. It's pushing 10 o'clock now. Where
So
the hell did that go?
people need to know about the Centre for Fortean Zoology. Where can they find this, Jonathan?
Well, it's an organisation that I started 33 years ago. Oh, that's nice magical word.
Number?
A third of a century ago. And we study all over the world, we study mystery animals. And you can check us out at cfz.org.uk. Apparently, you don't have to say www anymore.
No?
But cfz.org.uk, which has got accounts of our expeditions and the books we've published, and links to our bi-weekly web TV show. I'm
Yes.
going to be back on the show on Saturday afternoon, where my guest is Dr. Bruce Champagne, who's a world expert on sea monsters.
What a great name, Dr.
It,
Bruce Champagne.
it is, isn't it? And that's just
You'd
really
think he'd be a
right.
wine connoisseur, wouldn't you?
Oh,
With that
God.
kind of a name.
But it's like I used to know this guy called Pete Glastonbury, and I always thought it was just because he was a hippie sort of guy. I thought it was just that he'd decided to call himself that. But that actually was his name.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, Pete Champagne's a fantastic name.
So what time is that on? 3 o'clock on
So that's
Saturday?
3 o'clock Saturday afternoon with me and Dr. Bruce Champagne. And Hennis, the anthropomorphic chicken, will also be there. And there'll be all sorts of other stuff, which is a mixture of sort of hard science, weird shit, and surreality.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, God almighty, hang on.
And if you haven't got any already, get on the website and have a look at the books that are there for sale, because some of Jonathan's books are there. You can get hold of them. And one of my favourites, but don't ever tell him that he's my favourite, is Richard Freeman, with some of his expeditions and his stuffs on there as well. And he's only my favourite because he talks about all sorts of cryptids that you may have remembered them back in your childhood and then forgotten them. But when he mentions them, it's like, oh shit, yes. So yeah, it's well worth a look. And you have a periodical that comes out, don't you? Like a magazine.
Two, we've got a magazine that comes out 3 times a year called Animals and Men, which is named after an Adam and the Ants song.
Yeah.
I'm bluttering here, hang on. And we have another periodical, which is a book called the CFZ Yearbook that comes out every 2 years. And the next one will be out before Christmas this year. So
It's well worth looking out for. So all that's left to say is we will be back next week. Yes, Jonathan, unless he's busy, will be back next week. And we may or may not have a guest on with us. And if there's a guest on, we'll have to behave ourselves, I suppose.
do we have a guest? Oh, come on, get your schedule out, young lady.
Oh, my battery's about to die.
My
My phone's buzzing away.
Plug the sodding thing in.
Well, I'll do that when I go to sleep. I'm just checking the diary now.
What a strange woman she is.
No, the 16th of April, we have Barry Fitzgerald joining us.
Who he?
He is...
I know the name, but I can't remember who he is.
He works with Steve Meara, your friend Steve Meara that you've met.
Yeah.
And he's from Northern Ireland. Paranormal investigator and intrepid explorer of all things weird, like you. You'll get on well with him.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. So it's just you and me again next week, is it?
Well, I am going to try my very best to get one of the guests that was going to come on but couldn't come on and see if they are available for next Wednesday. But
Well, give us a clue. Who are you talking about?
So I'm talking about a duo that is otherwise known as Haunted Scouse.
I don't know them.
You'll get to meet them. They're lovely fellas, the pair of them, but they'll hopefully, touch wood, they're not busy. They'll come out. They'll be on the show.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So we'll get a couple of Scousers on. No Scouser jokes.
Do I look like someone who's just about to make a Scouser joke?
Well, Dan would, but it.
Yeah, but I'm better behaved than Daniel.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true.
And I'm safer around tigers.
Yes, there is that. There is that. But next Wednesday from 8:00, we will be discussing all things weird and hopefully all things weird in Liverpool. With a bit of luck.
If not, we'll just be us two talking bollocks again.
Again, you may or may not learn anything, but we'll give it a go.
But did you enjoy yourselves, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we need to know. God, there's a horrible silence. Ah, thank you, Ned. What a sweetie you are.
Yeah, thank you, Ned. Right, so
you're much nicer than Vivian, Ned.
We're going to slope off now, and we will speak to you next week. Whatever you're doing, take care. And if you can't take care, just be careful. And if you can't be careful, just blame somebody else. Always plead innocent until proven otherwise. That's my philosophy, especially for you, Nettie.
If you can't blame anybody else, just say that you are a protected characteristic under the Minorities Act, and you can get away with anything.
I'm an ethnic minority. That's it.
You are.
Right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.